This is a gear review of the Sound Anchor ADJ2 monitor stands. A couple of months ago, there was an earthquake in LA, and I think the magnitude was 4.2 or 4.6 or something like that. And I remember I was in my studio when it happened. The first thing that I'm looking at are my ATCs to make sure that they're not falling on the ground. And while the earthquake is happening, I'm watching everything in my house shake. And I look at my ATCs on my sound anchors and they are perfectly fine. I don't want to officially say that they're earthquake proof, but they definitely, it was reassuring going through an earthquake and seeing these. Speaker stands hold my ATCs without any issues. When people talk about how heavy sound anchors are, they are not messing around. This thing is solid metal. And I've stubbed my toe on this, and I can just tell you that I absorbed all of the pain. You're not gonna make a dent into the sound anchor. This is a very, very solid piece of metal. If you're thinking that this studio stand is gonna move, no, it's staying right where you place it. And if you wanna move it, you're gonna have to lift it and, lift with the legs. When I first got my ATCs, I had 3 to 4 months of not having sound anchors, and when I finally got sound anchors, the difference was pretty noticeable. The biggest difference that I noticed was that when I put my speakers on the sound anchors, it was like hearing the speakers in a really crystal clear way. I had been using this table before to put my speakers on because I didn't have anything else and I needed to save up for the sound anchors. So I put my speakers on, this table in the meantime. And I didn't realize it when I was using that table. But basically, the table was causing these weird resonances to happen. And because, the table is so close to the speaker, you're perceiving it as the sound of the speaker. And so it was pretty crazy to finally get these speakers, and you're kind of hearing your speakers for the first time in a way. I think an indicator of a good speaker stand is that they are as invisible as possible. And what I mean by that is that they don't get in the way of how your speaker is performing. And so you're not transferring, bass frequencies onto the ground or other frequencies into other parts of the room, but that they kind of let your speaker be as least interactive with other parts of your room so that you're really hearing everything just from your speaker. To adjust the height of the sound anchor, they give you an Allen wrench, and you just basically have one bolt that you're tightening to set the height of your sound anchor. At first, I was a little iffy about that, and I was wondering, is this really enough to hold my ATC speaker? But now that I've had it for over a year, it's been completely fine. I've never had to readjust it. It's been pretty rock solid, so that has never been an issue. You also have a plate that the speaker sits on, and you can configure this in 2 different ways. You also have an Allen wrench to basically, if you want to set the plate so that it is more long or more forward, you have basically 2 different options, which is why there's 4 holes here. It comes with 8 spikes, and you basically install 4 spikes per sound anchor. And what that allows you to do is reduce the surface area that your speaker stand has with the ground. So because you would have these 4 spikes, you would reduce the total surface area. Your speaker stands would be touching the ground on these 4 spikes. And you use these spikes, I think, if you have carpet, but I have hardwood in my floor. And so they do have for a separate purchase, are these cone coasters. And you basically put the spikes on top of these cone coasters so that they don't damage your hardwood floor. I'm pretty happy with how my sound anchors have been performing. So I haven't done that, but that's kind of always been something in the back of my mind of pulling the trigger. They're a little bit more expensive just to even get these cone coasters, but they should help to improve the performance of the sound anchors. I'm going to talk about what most people are thinking about, and that's the cost of these. These are really expensive for speaker stands. I will acknowledge that. I bought these brand new in 2023 for $11.50 USD, and with taxes, it came out to $12.60. I looked the other day on Sweetwater, and these were $1,300 before taxes. So you're probably looking at least $1,400. One thing interesting about sound anchors is how much they've increased in price over the years. I remember seeing these speakers a couple years ago, and I think they were $900 for a pair. And just a couple years later, they're now $1,300. And I get that there's inflation. I get that there's a higher cost to goods now. But I haven't really seen any product, any studio gear that has increased in price as much as the sound anchors have. I'm not sure exactly why they're increasing the price of this, if it's for a specific reason, if they, really believe in their brand. But it does make it, that jump from $900 to $1,300 for a pair of speaker stands, that's a pretty high jump. And with that, price is to be considered. I'm pretty happy with my sound anchors, to be honest, and when I was buying these, I wasn't really interested in any other competitors that were out there, but I know that there are good manufacturers out there of companies that make studio monitor stands. So my suggestion, if you have the money to go out on this and kind of get maybe some of the best studio monitor stands available, get it. If price is a concern for you, look into other manufacturers as well. I think there's a lot of good ones out there that can do it at a fraction of the cost. Maybe it's gonna still be in the same ballpark, but maybe not as good as the sound anchors. But there's definitely a lot of good options out there. This is not the only option for studio monitor stands. If you like this gear review and want to see more, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions about the sound anchors, feel free to drop that in the comment section. Or if you have any other kind of experience with sound anchors, whether it's good or bad, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. And thanks again for watching.